Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This video is the complete NPM tutorial for beginners. And if you're not familiar, NPM is basically just a set of packages on the web that you can install into your own project. And specifically, these are JavaScript packages. So basically, these packages work in many different environments. And as they like to brag on their site, you can build amazing things with NPM. You basically just install other people's code into your project that they have donated to NPM, hopefully under the MIT license, and then you're able to just start building your project. So with that said, I hope you're as excited as I am about NPM, and we're going to be getting into, first of all, I'm just going to briefly describe how to install it, and then we're going to look at the usage. So to install NPM, just go to npmjs.com/get-npm, this URL right up here, and then scroll down and then click this button, download Node.js and NPM, and then you basically just have a download for whatever operating system you're on. You download that, follow the installer, and you'll be good to go. And then once you actually have NPM, hopefully in a terminal you can go into your project directory. I like using VS Code for my editor, and just type NPM, and then you should see that it recognizes that NPM is an actual command, and it will tell you about the usage. And now we're going to get into the actual usage. So for simplicity, I just have a blank folder here, which I've opened inside of VS Code. The folder is called NPM tutorial, and then I'm going to show you what happens if we just want to install a simple package. So first we need to know what package we'd like to install. So the way that I do that is I just go to Google, and then I type NPM, and then the thing that I want to install. So there's this awesome package called Shuffle Array, which I use quite frequently in a lot of my projects. So now we're looking at the documentation for the Shuffle Array page, and inside of here we've got like the weekly downloads. Usually if a package is good, it will have a lot of weekly downloads because a lot of people have this need, and it's been kind of refined because people request fixes to bugs and so forth. So it's usually a good sign when you see a lot of downloads like this. And then, as they say right here, the way to install it is using this command. And then head back over to my empty project. And normally you can actually just run that command if you're already in a project that uses NPM. But since this is a blank folder, I first need to run npm init. And like I said, normally you don't have to do this, but right now I need to. So it's just going to ask me some basic questions about my project. I'm just going to kind of use the defaults for everything. Blah 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 blah. You can fill that out if you want to, but I just wanted to show you what it generated after that process of npm init. So this package.json is like the registry file for npm. It has the name of the project, and then it declares any dependencies that it has. We don't really have any dependencies right now, but if we run npm install shuffle array, like we just copied from the web, then we will now have a dependency listed up here as Shuffle Array version 1.0.1. Okay, and you'll also notice that this made two more files. There's a package lock.json. You can kind of just ignore this. It's more advanced. We just won't worry about it for this tutorial. The main things you need to be concerned with are the package.json and the node_modules folder. So this folder right here contains the actual code for the dependency which we just installed. So the code for the Shuffle Array package has the same exact name as a folder right here, and this folder just contains all of its code. You can see it has the license file. It actually has its own package.json because sometimes it can have its own dependencies. This one doesn't seem to have any, but if it did, then it would install those as well, and they would all just go inside of the node_modules folder. And then heading back over to the web, on the documentation page for whatever package you're using, they'll usually have a section in here called usage. And so you'll just want to follow whatever they recommend to actually use this in your project. Since I'm just using a blank folder right now with no actual code, we're going to skip that part and just keep talking about how to manage dependencies with NPM. So if you have any questions about the actual usage of the package and how to import it and so forth, just look at the documentation. They usually do a pretty good job, and you'll get the hang of it after a couple of packages. Another thing to note is that if you're using source control like Git, By the way, if you're new to Git, then be sure to watch my video on getting started with Git for beginners. With that said, if you are using Git, like I'll set up a repository right now using git init, then you'll notice that it starts tracking all of these files, but we want to make sure that in the root folder for our project, there's a file called .gitignore, and in that file, there should be a line in here called node_modules, and this is going to tell Git to ignore that file. See how VS Code stopped highlighting it as green? That's because we want Git to ignore the node modules folder, because the node modules folder can be generated from just the package.json. So there's no sense in like re-uploading all of the dependencies to every single Git project that they're a part of. That's part of the reason why the package.json exists, is because we can regenerate all of those dependencies if we wanted to using the package.json, and then we could just run a command called npm install. So that would fresh install all of the dependencies. So I'll show you right now. I'm just going to delete the node modules folder. Okay, and then I'm going to run npm install, and that will reinstall all the dependencies. So now the folder is back, and shuffle array is back inside of there, and then our project will work once again because we have our code. So that's important to understand, that the node modules folder can be generated from the package.json. I'm just going to download another dependency. This one's just called test, and I'm just going to download this one to show you what it looks like to have two folders inside of this node modules folder. So I've installed that, and then I'm going to refresh, and then okay, great. So this did what I was hoping that it would do. It imported another package that test depended on. So if we click on test, and then we go to its package.json, and then we scroll down to dependencies inside of here, we can see that it depends on ANSI font. So basically that means that when we installed it, it automatically installed ANSI font because it requires that in order to work. So it installed both of those, and then in our own package.json, it only lists the original two, even though there are actually 3 folders inside of our node module folder. So that's important to note, is that dependencies can have their own dependencies. And in fact, our own file right here could be registered with node. And like if someone installed our project, then it would automatically install all of our dependencies. So it's a pretty cool way of structuring things so that everyone can use each other's code. But by default, the projects are just private, and then you have to manually publish them. So it's not like once you start writing the project, it's just going to automatically publish to node. Now you've got to actually do that. Maybe in another video we can do that. But for now, I just want to look at 2 more things. First thing is uninstalling a package. So let's try uninstalling test. The way you do that is npm uninstall, and then the name of the package, so test, and then that will immediately remove it from here. And if we refresh this, it will remove it from the folder structure up here inside of node modules. Alright, and then what if you want to install a specific version of a package? So you can see here that shuffle array is installed version 1.0.1. Well, first we might want to know which versions there are. So the way that we do that is with npm view, and then the name of the package, which is shuffle array, and then we just type versions at the end of it, and then that will list out all of the versions of that particular package. So if we want to install a particular version of a package, let's first uninstall the current version. So npm un for uninstall, then shuffle array. So that will remove it like that. And then to add one of these particular versions, I'm just going to run npm I, and then the full version which we like. So I'm going to pick 0.1.1. And so when we install that, we'll see that this number right here changes to the new version, 0.1.1. And then the code for that inside of the node modules folder will of course be updated with the correct version. And if you're wondering why you might want to install a particular version, well, sometimes when you're working on a project, a version of something will break and you want to revert back to the previous version. Or maybe like a dependency of yours says that you need to manually install a particular version of something. This is how you do that. And that is like 90% of what you'll ever need to know with NPM. I've been building websites for quite a long time, and that's basically all I ever needed to know about NPM. So if you like this video, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.